Welcome to Gents Grove, gentlemen. Trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. If you're a Sigma male, you've probably learned this lesson the hard way. You're not like everyone else. You don't fit into the traditional social boxes or follow the herd. And when it comes to trusting people, you don't hand it out freely because experience has shown you that most can't be trusted. Sigma males are independent thinkers operating on their own terms, and they've often been let down by others who didn't understand or respect that. It's not that they're paranoid, it's that they've seen too many games played in the name of friendship, loyalty, and trust. For a Sigma, trust isn't something you give lightly. It's something that has to be earned over time. If you're here, you probably resonate with this reality. It's not about being bitter. It's about being smart, cautious, and wise enough to protect your energy. So if you want to know the harsh truths about why Sigma males don't trust anyone, stick around. This might just change the way you see the world and yourself. Let's get started, gents. Number 1. A survival mechanism, not a choice. For Sigma males, their caution around trust isn't just a preference or a choice, it's a survival mechanism. From a young age, they've seen how vulnerability can be weaponized, how someone's openness or reliance on others can be used against them. Whether it was a betrayal by someone close or watching others fall victim to exploitation, they learned quickly that trust in the wrong hands can lead to devastation. These early lessons etched themselves deeply into their psyche, turning them into hyper-aware individuals who never let their guard down easily. For a Sigma, trust isn't a luxury. It's a rare, precious thing that has to be earned through consistent actions over time. They've learned that being vulnerable, whether emotionally, financially, or socially, can open doors to manipulation, deceit, and power plays by others who don't have their best interests at heart. This understanding shapes their approach to life, making them naturally cautious and selective about who they let in. They've seen how some people will exploit any perceived weakness to control, influence, or even sabotage. And as a result, they keep their personal world tightly guarded. This isn't about cynicism or bitterness, it's about survival. For a Sigma, trusting the wrong person could lead to more than just disappointment. It could lead to personal loss, betrayal, or emotional harm. So they become instinctively wary, constantly evaluating others to determine whether they can truly be trusted. This self-protective mechanism has been honed over time and is now an integral part of their mindset. It's not about rejecting human connection, it's about safeguarding themselves against the dangers that can arise from misplaced trust. Number 2. They've seen the true faces of people who pretend to be friends. Sigma males have a keen ability to spot the difference between genuine connections and superficial friendships, but that doesn't mean they've escaped the sting of betrayal. Over the years, they've often found themselves surrounded by people who claim to be friends, but later reveal their true toxic natures. Whether it's a so-called friend who pretended to have their best interests at heart while secretly manipulating them, or someone who was only around when it was convenient for them, these experiences shape a Sigma's understanding of trust. They've seen how quickly people can flip, how easily friendships can be reduced to selfish transactions. These painful lessons leave a lasting mark. Sigmas learn that people aren't always who they seem to be. The friend who seems loyal today could be the one backstabbing you tomorrow. They've watched as these individuals, once trusted, reveal their true faces under pressure. Self-serving, manipulative, or opportunistic. They've been the target of empty promises and deceitful gestures, all of which leave them with the understanding that trust is a precious commodity that must be earned, not assumed. This harsh reality forces Sigmas into a protective shell. Their wariness isn't rooted in bitterness, it's the result of repeated lessons about the unpredictability of people. With each betrayal, they refine their ability to read others, seeing through the masks people wear. Now, they don't rush into friendships or open up easily. They're cautious, calculating, and selective, knowing that the risk of trusting the wrong person could cost them more than they're willing to give. Gentlemen, thank you for being part of Gents Grove community. You are valued. At number 3, Experience has taught them the cost of blind trust. Sigma. Males don't arrive at their trust cautiously, if at all, mindset by accident. They've been shaped by experiences, both their own and those of others, that have left a lasting mark on their perception of trust. They've seen firsthand how blind trust can lead to personal betrayal or disappointment, and in many cases, they've watched others fall victim to the same mistakes. These aren't just isolated incidents, they're lessons etched into the fabric of their worldview. Whether it's a close friend who turned on them at a crucial moment or someone else's story of trusting the wrong person, Sigmas have learned that trust comes at a price, and that price is often much steeper than people realize. The fallout from misplaced trust can range from emotional scars to the loss of time, resources, or opportunities. For Sigmas, this is not just a theoretical risk. It's a reality they've lived through, and one they've witnessed repeatedly in the lives of others. These past betrayals and disappointments, often learned through careful observation, reinforce their philosophy of caution. Why risk everything on someone who hasn't proven their loyalty? Why let down their guard for someone who hasn't shown they deserve it? The lessons learned are harsh but invaluable. They've seen that blindly trusting others can cost not just friendships, but self-respect and peace of mind. For a Sigma, it's not about being cynical. It's about being wise. They've learned the hard way that trust isn't something to be given without careful thought. It's a resource to be safeguarded, something that must be earned and tested over time. The pain of blind trust has taught them that it's better to remain guarded and selective than to risk the fallout of disappointment. Number 4. They've seen loyalty crumble under pressure. Sigma. Males have seen the ugly truth about loyalty, the way it crumbles when things get tough. They've witnessed it firsthand, whether in friendships, workplaces, or even within families. Loyalty, in their experience, is rarely as unshakable as people claim. It's often conditional, fading when the pressure is on or when personal interests are at stake. What was once thought to be an unbreakable bond can suddenly dissolve into self-preservation when real challenges arise. They've seen friends turn on each other over small betrayals or misunderstandings, colleagues undercut each other to climb the corporate ladder, and even family members distance themselves when things get hard. In these moments, Sigmas don't just watch, they learn. They learn that when the stakes are high, most people will prioritize their own survival, comfort, or ambition over loyalty. That's when true colors show. For a Sigma male, this realization is a harsh but important one. They've learned that loyalty isn't something you can take for granted. It's often tested in the face of adversity, and most people will fail that test when their own well-being is threatened. These experiences don't just make Sigmas more cautious, they make them more realistic about human nature. Where others might give the benefit of the doubt, Sigmas have seen enough to understand that loyalty isn't automatic. It's a rare commodity, often in short supply when things go south, and because of this, they've learned to rely on themselves above all else, knowing that in the end, they can trust only their own ability to stay true, even when everyone else falls away. Number 5. Trust equals vulnerability, and vulnerability is a risk. For a Sigma male, trust isn't just a simple bond, it's an exchange of power. To trust someone means you're allowing them to have a certain level of influence over your life, your emotions, or your decisions. And with that power comes vulnerability. To a Sigma, vulnerability is a calculated risk, a risk that often feels too dangerous to take. They've learned through experience that once you open yourself up to someone, you're no longer fully in control of the situation. You've handed someone else the keys to your trust, and with those keys comes the potential for harm. It's not just about being hurt emotionally, it's about losing your autonomy, your independence, your ability to make decisions without outside interference. To a Sigma, that loss of control isn't worth the potential rewards that trust might bring. Trust, to a Sigma, is too valuable and too fragile to give away freely. They've been burned before by letting someone too close, by believing in a person's promises or intentions, only to find out they were playing a different game. In those moments, the vulnerability they allowed became a weapon against them. They realized that once you open that door, it's no longer just about you. there's a risk that the other person might manipulate, betray, or use that trust against you. This doesn't mean Sigmas are incapable of trust. It just means they're incredibly cautious. They guard their vulnerability fiercely because they know the cost of letting someone have that kind of power over them. And in the end, they'd rather walk alone than risk being exposed to the dangers that come with misplaced trust. Number 6. Betrayal has been a deep lesson. For Sigma males, betrayal isn't just a fleeting emotional wound. It's a deep formative lesson that stays with them long after the pain has subsided. They've been burned before, and that scar runs deeper than most realize. Each betrayal, whether from a friend, a colleague, or someone they trusted, becomes a marker, a reminder of how fragile trust can be in a world full of self-interested individuals. But rather than letting those betrayals break them, Sigmas use them as educational moments, forcing them to refine their understanding of people and relationships. When a Sigma male is betrayed, the pain cuts sharply, but it's not the kind of pain that fades into oblivion. It's the kind that stays fresh, reminding them of the lessons learned from the experience. And because of this, they are never quick to trust again. They know firsthand that trusting the wrong person can cost more than just emotional damage. It can cost time, resources, and energy that can never be reclaimed. Once burned, Sigmas become hyper-aware of the warning signs, learning to recognize the subtle cues that indicate someone may not have the best intentions. Betrayal becomes a defining moment for them. It teaches them to be cautious, to stay vigilant, and to never give their trust away too freely. And though they may forgive, they don't forget. The lesson is etched into their memory, not as a source of bitterness, but as a reminder of the importance of self-preservation. For Sigmas, trust is no longer a given. It's a privilege, one that must be earned and guarded fiercely. They've learned the hard way that when you let your guard down, the flames of betrayal can burn hotter than you ever imagined, and they'll never let that happen again. Number 7. They see the world as a chessboard, not a playground. For Sigma males, the world isn't a playground, it's a chessboard. Every interaction, every decision is made with strategy in mind, not optimism. They don't wander through life hoping things will work out or trusting people on a whim. Instead, they view relationships as a series of calculated moves, where each person plays a role, and those roles are earned, not assumed. They understand that most people approach relationships transactionally, always looking for what they can gain or how they can manipulate the situation for their benefit. This transactional mindset is something a Sigma sees clearly, and it's why they approach trust with such caution. Unlike the typical optimist who believes in the best of everyone, the Sigma male is grounded in reality. He knows that people often look out for themselves first and foremost, using others as stepping stones or pawns in their own personal games. In this world, loyalty isn't freely given, and trust isn't easily extended. Sigmas aren't fooled by surface-level gestures or flattery. They look for consistency, integrity, and actions that align with words. When it comes to trust, Sigmas don't rush. They take the time to assess each person in their life, considering whether or not they've earned their spot on the chessboard. It's not about being cold or calculating. It's about protecting themselves from being used or manipulated. They recognize that not everyone has their best interests at heart, and so, like a strategist, they only trust those who have proven themselves time and time again. In this game, trust isn't given out freely. It's a resource that must be earned with patience, consistency, and authenticity. And only the few who pass the test make it to the next move. Number 8. They know people tend to fear or exploit what they don't understand. Sigma males live in a space that's often misunderstood by those around them. Their enigmatic personalities, self-reliance, and refusal to conform make them targets for a range of reactions, none of which foster trust. The truth is, when people don't understand something or someone, their response often leans toward fear or exploitation. And for a Sigma, that's a dangerous dynamic to navigate. Because Sigmas don't fit neatly into social boxes, people tend to either envy them or misjudge them. They become a mystery that others can't figure out, and instead of seeing their independence as something to admire, people often feel threatened by it. The unfamiliarity with a Sigma's mindset or way of life creates discomfort, and discomfort can quickly turn into fear or resentment. People fear what they can't control or predict, and a Sigma male's unpredictability is a big part of why trust becomes so difficult to offer. On the flip side, those who don't fear them outright often seek to exploit their uniqueness. They see the Sigma as someone who isn't easily swayed by the same social pressures that govern the average person, and they might try to use that against him. Whether it's a friend trying to manipulate a Sigma for personal gain, or a colleague attempting to leverage his independence for their benefit, it's clear that most people view a Sigma as an opportunity, rather than a person to be trusted or respected. In this environment, trust is a rare and fragile thing. When people either fear or want to exploit what they don't understand, it's almost impossible for a Sigma to feel safe enough to open up. So they retreat into their world, keeping their circle tight, because they know that most people will either misunderstand them or try to take advantage of their strength. Number 9. Time is their ultimate truth teller. For Sigma males, time is the ultimate truth teller. They've learned that words can be deceptive, and first impressions can be misleading. People can put on a good show, but only time reveals whether those words and actions align with reality. Trust to a Sigma isn't something to be freely given. It's something that must be earned. And the only way to truly understand someone's intentions, loyalty, and character is through prolonged observation. Sigma males don't rush to let people into their lives. They understand that time has a way of exposing people's true selves. They don't rely on surface-level interactions or quick judgments. Instead, they take the time to observe and analyze, watching how people behave when they think no one is paying attention, how they act under pressure, and how consistent they are over time. Trust is built slowly, brick by brick, through these accumulated observations. This methodical approach doesn't come from cynicism. It's a survival strategy. Sigmas know that people are complex and often hide their true intentions, especially when they want something from you. They've seen enough empty promises and broken loyalties to know that trust isn't something you can afford to give away lightly. Time is the only thing that allows them to separate the genuine from the fake. Only those who consistently prove themselves over time are allowed into the Sigma's inner world. Everyone else remains outside the circle, because trust isn't a gamble. They're not willing to risk it until they've seen enough to be sure. Now at number 10. Society rewards fakery. In a society that often values appearances over authenticity, Sigma males are acutely aware of how the world rewards fakery. Surface charm, polished personas, and deceitful smiles frequently win praise, while genuine character tends to get overlooked or dismissed. For a Sigma, this is a harsh reality. They've seen how people climb social ladders not through integrity, but by mastering the art of manipulation and playing the system. Trust, in this environment, becomes a dangerous gamble. When you trust someone in a world where deceit is rewarded, you risk getting caught in a game you never wanted to play. Sigma males recognize that most people, consciously or unconsciously, conform to societal expectations and play by the rules of image management. It's all about what you project, not what you truly are. But Sigmas are not interested in playing those games. They're not interested in being part of the crowd, pretending to be something they're not, or pleasing others for the sake of approval. They refuse to compromise their authenticity in order to fit in or to be rewarded by the shallow metrics society uses to measure success. Sigma males often find themselves surrounded by pretenders, people who are drawn to their strength, mystery, and independence, but have nothing real to offer in return. These fake individuals latch on because they sense something intriguing or valuable about the Sigma's authenticity, but their motives are rarely pure. Some want to bask in the aura of a Sigma, hoping to absorb some of that energy or status for themselves, while others see the Sigma as an opportunity to use their uniqueness for personal gain. The problem is, the more a Sigma encounters these pretenders, the clearer it becomes that most people aren't genuinely interested in connection. They're only interested in what they can extract. This constant overexposure to people who have ulterior motives reinforces a Sigma's natural reluctance to trust. They've learned that many people will pretend to be what they're not, just to get close to someone who seems different or powerful. Sigmas see through these facades because they've encountered them too often. The superficial attention, the feigned interest, it all feels like manipulation to them. It's exhausting and ultimately unfulfilling. The reality is, for Sigma males, genuine relationships are a rare treasure in a sea of fake connections. Over time, the weight of these encounters has made them more cautious, more guarded. They've learned that giving trust to someone who's only pretending to be something they're not only opens the door to disappointment and frustration. So instead of risking vulnerability, they choose to remain distant, selective, and vigilant. They'd rather keep their circles small and genuine than deal with the constant barrage of pretenders who want something they're not willing to give. In conclusion, at the end of the day, Sigma males don't trust easily for a reason. Each reason is rooted in hard-earned experience, survival, and self-preservation. They've been through the betrayals, the manipulation, and the heartbreaks that life throws at people who choose to wear their heart on their sleeve. But that's the beauty of being a Sigma. It's not about being hardened or jaded, it's about learning from the past, recognizing the patterns, and choosing to stay true to themselves in a world that doesn't always reward authenticity. Sigma males trust themselves first because they've learned that they can rely on their own judgment and instincts far more than the promises of others. They've watched too many people wear masks, hide their true intentions, or abandon relationships when things get difficult. They've seen loyalty turn into self-interest and trust turn into manipulation. But rather than letting these experiences make them bitter, Sigmas have used them as lessons to shape a life of independence, strength, and resilience. If you're a Sigma male, you know the importance of protecting your peace and your mind. You know that trust isn't something that comes freely. It's something that's earned, built over time, and only given to those who've shown they deserve it. Your wariness isn't a flaw, it's a shield. It's your way of keeping yourself from getting burned again. So, don't let anyone make you feel like you're wrong for being cautious. You've learned the hard way, and now you move through life with purpose, making choices based on wisdom, not wishful thinking. Trust for you is a rare gift, and when it's given, it's not given lightly. Thanks for watching, gents. God bless you.